Alright guys, let's just cut through the bullshit. WWE isn't the same anymore. Now I'm not saying WWE is completely terrible right now. There's still plenty of things to enjoy. But overall, there are some serious flaws in today's product that are stripping the company off of its soul. So let's talk about it. I think the biggest problem in WWE right now is that they have completely forgotten that at their core, they are a wrestling company putting on wrestling shows with wrestlers, because it seems like WWE is straying away from the wrestling part of wrestling. Remember when you tuned in on Monday Night Raw and the first thing you got was Stone Cold Steve Austin beating the fucking shit out of Vince McMahon? Now, the first thing you see when you tune in on Monday Night Raw is TKO board member Dwayne Johnson bragging about the company making money by selling out an arena. Oh, we just broke the record for the largest arena gate. Like, who gives a fuck? It doesn't feel like I'm watching a wrestling show made for wrestling fans, but a 2 to 3 hour, mildly entertaining soap opera made for TKO shareholders. It's so fucking corporate. And the wrestlers don't even feel like wrestlers. They feel like corporate sex slaves. Like whenever a wrestler picks up a microphone, it's always, oh, WWE is in a boom period right now. We're in a new era. We're doing great business-wise. Triple H era, ladies and gentlemen. Like, that's all they do. Imagine in the Attitude Era, The Undertaker cut a promo saying,
the WWF is making a lot of money. I love Vince McMahon. We're in a new era. WCW will rest in peace.
Like, how much are you gonna glaze yourselves? Now I get it, alright? I fucking get it. This is a billion-dollar company we're talking about. Of course it's gonna be super corporate, right? Well, here's the thing though. It was completely fine during the early stages of the Triple H era, like a little bit of 2022 and most of 2023. We actually had good storytelling and emphasis on putting out good content. That is what brought them to this so-called boom period in the first place. But now, it seems like WWE is going back to what they destroyed in the first place. Like, let me give you guys an example. The Saudi Arabia shows started getting better. It actually felt like PLEs instead of a Vince McMahon wet dream. Like, storylines going on in WWE were being continued on Saudi shows. Now, it's like the Saudi shows are not even canon, because they just do a bunch of random shit like Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul, where this random motherfucker ended up being the reason Cody Rhodes is still champion right now, or even the fucking Crown Jewel Championship, which is the dumbest fucking shit ever. Like, we're literally evolving backwards. What the fuck happened, dude? Like, the whole hype behind Triple H taking over WWE was that we were finally gonna move on for Vince McMahon, who obviously, you know, judging by his last few years of booking the shows, clearly didn't have it in him anymore. But now, once WWE started seeing some success and some more money, they've decided to completely ignore what brought them the very success in the first place, and that's focusing on good content. And now they've become this money-hungry company that produces content for their fucking shareholders while making desperate attempts to attract new fans while driving their current fans away. Oh, they just broke the record for the largest arena. Yes, because every fucking ticket was over $1,000. Like, WWE just loves glazing themselves and bragging about how much money they made on their shows instead of actually focusing on stories. It's fucking sickening. And speaking of stories, let's talk about that. The main event program's absolute trash. WWE thinks that if they have a decent story, and trust me, even that is rare these days, they think if they have a decent story, they can just forget about delivering in the ring. Like, who needs a great match when we got a few dramatic backstage segments, right? But here's the thing though, wrestling is a storytelling medium, yes, but the matches are how you actually tell the story. That's the payoff. That's literally the point of wrestling. Wrestling isn't just about what happens before the match, it's about what happens during the match. The story needs to culminate in the ring, where emotions explode, stakes are felt, and the fans are left saying, wow, that was worth it and I fucking creamed my pants. But now, WWE acts like they're allergic to delivering great main event matches. Take Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso at SummerSlam, for example. That was a great fucking story. Tribal combat, right? It had all the emotional weight in the world. Family, legacy, betrayal. But when the fucking bell rang, they completely stopped giving a fuck. Like, all they cared about was having that one moment where Jimmy Uso turns on Jey Uso, and everything until then was just a garbage match, so slow and dull that it made the entire crowd lose interest halfway through. That whole story is literally not as memorable as it should be because that match was so fucking ass. And that's not the only one. How about Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso? How about Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens? How about Seth Rollins versus CM Punk? It's like they think the story just ends when the match begins, when in reality, the match is where the story truly comes to life. That is the art of wrestling and storytelling. WWE hypes up these stories for weeks, sometimes months, with their cinema stuff, only to completely forget the wrestling part of wrestling. It's all sizzle, no steak. If you watch wrestling only for the cinema stuff, like, oh, Roman Reigns deserves an Emmy, the Bloodline story should be in the Oscars, like, shut the fuck up and go watch a movie for once in your goddamn lives. Now, I know WWE doesn't like to call themselves a wrestling company. They like to fancy themselves as a sports entertainment company, and they have been for decades. But the way I see it, WWE is a wrestling company that is embarrassed to call themselves a wrestling company. Because here's the thing about sports entertainment, nobody knows what the fuck sports entertainment is. If you're watching WWE and someone walks in, they're going to say, oh, you're watching wrestling, WWE. They're not going to say, oh, you're watching sports entertainment, huh? You know, Undertaker used to be my favorite sports entertainer. Back in the day, he used to sports entertain the shit out of me. Like, no, nobody's going to say that because nobody knows what sports entertainment is. WWE's corporate ass is so caught up trying to attract new fans that they completely forget about their real fans. Like, for example, your real fans were following a story about The Rock, who turned into a villain that is going after Cody Rhodes. But now, when Raw debuted on Netflix, they completely forgot about it, and we got the same old Dwayne Johnson we see in every fucking boring movie of his, hugging and drinking tequila with Cody Rhodes. Like, what the fuck? You completely forget about your real fans that tune in every single week just to try and attract new fans. But here's the thing though, if any non-wrestling fan checks out a wrestling show, then they're gonna want to see wrestling. Like, I watched the first Raw on Netflix with a friend of mine that doesn't watch wrestling, and we're 35 minutes into the show, and he's like, bro, when the fuck does the wrestling start? Because he sat through 35 minutes of just promos and hype videos and whatever. So WWE really needs to focus on the wrestling aspect of wrestling. Now, I'm not saying that we don't ever regularly have good matches in WWE. We do, but it's mostly in the mid-card, which faces the exact opposite problems, where there's no storytelling and only good work rate matches. Like, what the fuck, dude? This is just laughable at this point. Now, one more thing. When I say good matches or great matches, I'm not talking about 5-star Dave Meltzer Tokyo Dome classics. I'm not saying every main event match needs to be Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. I just want some good in-ring storytelling, and I want the intensity in the ring to match the intensity of the story they've been telling up to that point. Like, for example, Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk did have that intensity. I mean, of course it did, because it's Hell in a Cell. But CM Punk versus Seth Rollins did not have that intensity. Like, this match did not feel like it was between two men that absolutely hated each other. No, it was just another wrestling match. And WWE also prioritizes attracting their casual fans. So every single time WWE does something fucking stupid, the WWE meat writers on Twitter are gonna go, oh, this wasn't made for you, this was for the casual fans. Like relying on legends, for example, having 50 or 60 or sometimes 70-year-old legends take up TV time instead of the actual WWE roster that is busting their asses. Because, oh, casual fans, right? Here's the thing though, the goal should be to turn your casual fans into real full-time fans. And you're not going to be able to do that if you just give them little nostalgia acts that they're just going to watch and forget about the very next day. Like, just imagine if the first Raw on Netflix had The Rock as a villain attack Cody Rhodes backstage once again. Like, that would really intrigue your casual fans and any new fans that tuned in. Not a fucking corporate bootlicking promo from Dwayne Johnson bragging about overpriced tickets. Stuff like this is exactly why AEW needs to be good. Because if AEW is good, then it forces WWE to be good. And we as fans get to enjoy two wrestling promotions putting out great wrestling. But now that AEW has been fucking dog shit for a while, WWE is slowly going back to the corporate megalomania that we thought we were past when Vince McMahon stepped down.
but it's really corporate now. I mean,
And finally, another problem is that most of the fans don't even criticize WWE about the stuff I just talked about in this video, because they suck Triple H's dick so hard when he does literally the smallest thing ever. Like, for real though, they love slurping on Triple H's cock, thinking he's some kind of a savior, when in reality, he is just doing the bare minimum, and the only reason why people praise it so much is because their standards have hit rock bottom after sticking with WWE during the mostly awful 2015 to 2020 Vince McMahon era. So overall, WWE needs to stop pretending it's anything other than a wrestling company and start prioritizing what made it great in the first place. Because right now, it's stuck in this weird corporate identity crisis, alienating its core fans with their desperate attempts to attract new and casual fans. Anyways, that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.